guys, welcome to the Back to Me podcast with your host Aidan O'Brien. We took a little break over the summer, but now we are back. The last episode was the dating and relationships episode, got huge reaction. Couple of clips there went viral. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you scroll to the last episode and check that out. There's a big reaction on social media from a couple of clips, especially around the dating aspect. So it's a very interesting episode. But we are back talking all things back to me, which is, as most of you guys know, the existing listeners will know, it's about letting go of everything you are not so you can take the path back to your truest self, your most powerful self, your most fulfilled self. That's what Back to Me is about. I've been coaching for over 10 years, speaking on stage for over 15 years, as an entrepreneur, as a mentor myself, helping other people kind of figure out their own stuff. And last year I had a huge awakening when I realized we don't have to become more, add on more, and try all these different tactics and strategies. We just have to let go of everything that's not truly us. That's what Back to Me is. It's what the Back to Me coaching program. Some of you guys who listen here on my Back to Me group coaching program, all of my one-to-one clients are listening as well. But Back to Me is the ultimate journey back to your highest self. It's letting go of all illusion, all suffering, which, unfortunately today this world does a great job of keeping us away from ourselves. It keeps us distracted. It keeps us feeling lost, searching for validation, searching for, feelings of pleasure or joy or happiness externally instead of showing us how to get it within ourselves. So that's what Back to Me is about. The Back to Me book as well, which is coming soon. I've been saying that for a while, but it is coming soon. I think anyone that's written a book can tell you some of the challenges that come. And it's not necessarily in writing the book, it's being mentally prepared to release a book. I think that's what I'm seeing. And I might do an episode on that in the future where I talk about the process of writing the book. But the Back to Me book is a phenomenal message as well. Again, I'm writing it not necessarily to sell it, but to capture where I'm at on my journey, where the terminology and the words I use with my clients or when I speak at events, I want to put that in one place. That's what the Back to Me book is about. And of course, the Back to Me podcast, you're getting all those words all the time, a little bit more jumbled. But that's what the Back to Me podcast is about. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you like the episode at the end, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a rating for the podcast. It helps more people see it. That's how you can give back. So today's topic, I want to talk about the law of assumption. And, I talk a lot about this general area in a couple of episodes actually, but the law of assumption is something, I've studied for years. I've listened to a lot of, to me, they're famous guys. Maybe you haven't heard of them, but like Neville Goddard, for example, Reverend Ike, a lot of people like this who talk about the law of assumption. And the law of assumption is assuming the life you want, that you desire in your heart, the kind of lifestyle, the kind of business, the kind of job, the relationships, the kind of health, the kind of fitness, all aspects of your life that you kind of daydream of, that you wish for. The law of assumption is a way of, we talk about attracting or manifesting. Well, the law of assumption is assuming that you already have that. Okay, that you already live the life you want to live. Now, some of you guys immediately are going to have resistance to that. And you're going to say, how can I assume I have this life? What I want is so far from where I am now. Well, if you've listened to this podcast before, I always say what's in your heart, what you feel in your heart, you can see in your imagination, what you feel in your heart is already yours. So the law of assumption is starting to imagine, using your imagination, to imagine what does that version of me look like? What does that life look like? What does that income look like? What does that relationship look like? What does that health and fitness look like? What does that, contribution in my lifetime look like? And the law of assumption is living from that place now. So many of you guys know my kind of famous saying at this stage, don't think of your future, think from your future. Well, the law of assumption is really getting deep into that now. Okay, so you want to get into an imagined state of being, of exactly what kind of life you want. And you have to do it. The key is to do it without the mind, without the ego. You just use the imagination so you have to use the mind to a certain point. But you want to really tap into the feeling in the body. Does it feel right for you? Can you taste it? Can you touch it? Can you smell it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Can you engage all of your senses when you're imagining it? Okay, so that's the law of assumption means that, it's just part of who you are. It's a knowingness. It's already done. And I've said this a lot, and, It's already done. I said it for a long time now. And it's because everything that's truly meant for you, it's already done. It's just about you receiving it. And that's the whole message with the Back to Me podcast as well. Like I said at the beginning, you don't have to go out and get more to receive it. You have to let go of what's in the way of it. And unfortunately, it's the things we've collected from our childhood. It's the things we've collected from our friends, our family, the things we've collected, just from our environment since we're growing up, that have shaped us, that have shaped our beliefs, that have shaped our identity, and that have shaped our self-image. And what we want to do with Back to Me is we want to clear away all of that, all of the things that don't belong there ultimately. All of the things that don't belong there. Any sort of hindrance to you receiving all you're meant to receive. So the first step of that is having the awareness to look at, okay, what is in the way? A lot of people, they don't want to do that. They're not willing to do that work. They're not willing to face their shadow self, their darkness, their ego. But that's the only way to find true freedom, is actually to truly face yourself, to look in the mirror, to look within yourself, to look within your heart, and to say, okay, what's really going on? And that's the great thing about coaching, I always say, is that coaching, is all about asking the right questions. Mentoring is when I'm training you. Delivering a training workshop is me speaking on topics so that you can receive information and apply them. But coaching is about me asking questions to bring the truth out of you. And that's why in my Back to Me group coaching program, it's a hybrid of coaching and mentoring. So one of the calls, the first call of the month, is a mentoring call where I'm teaching strategies that you can apply. And the second call of the month is coaching, where you come with the challenge you're facing, and then I coach you live on the call to find the answers, the blocks within you, to bring them out so we can let them go. Okay, so a lot of people struggle with the second part because they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to face themselves because it's uncomfortable, it's messy. And also we're biologically wired to avoid that. Like whenever we feel discomfort or pain, our mind wants us to escape from that. It's always looking for a way out. Our body wants us out. It doesn't like to feel discomfort and pain. And unfortunately today the world is so soft because everything is so easy. And I include myself in this. It's too easy to eat crappy food, sugary foods. It's so easy to get access to shitty content, shitty media, other people's stuff on social media, on Netflix, movies and TV shows. It's so easy to get into stuff that's kind of below the vibration you want to be at. It's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get pulled away from your true self. You have to have huge awareness. And everyone today is trying to have more discipline and build more habits. And it's a constant fight. You don't need discipline. You don't need habits. You need awareness. Awareness is your key to freedom. The discipline, who wants to go through life disciplined? Having to force yourself to do the right thing. Having to force yourself to do what's best for you. That's a miserable way of life. You want to become more aware. You want to let go of all the shit that's not yours. You want to let go of all the beliefs, thoughts, all the ego, all the fear that's not you, so that you can actually see that you are enough, that you are capable, that you are full, that you are good enough as you are. And now I can choose from that place of truth. I can choose from that place of alignment, and I can be whoever I want to be. I can be who I'm meant to be. See, the world doesn't want you to do that. It wants you spending money, consuming crappy foods, consuming crappy media, looking at everyone has an opinion, and it wants you listening to everyone's opinion. So how are you supposed to build yourself and receive everything that's meant for you when you're constantly being distracted and pulled left and right? Okay, so it takes courage to do that. And usually by the time, I heard a mentor say this to me years ago, people come out of inspiration or desperation. And it's true. Some of my clients come because things are good and they want things to be better. Some people come out of desperation where things are so bad, they draw a line and they say, no more. I can't do this anymore. Most people come after desperation. And usually because, like I said, the mind wants to take us away from the pain, take us away from the discomfort. So unless you're really ready, unless you're ready to make a decision to do something about it, it doesn't get done. We get distracted. And I have people who start coaching, even not many over the years, but a handful. Occasionally happens where even people will start a program, a group coaching program, and they'll still drift away a little bit. And it's because of that fear. It's because of that old habits. It's because of the ego. It's because of the distraction. Because they're lacking the awareness and they're lacking the honesty and the truth within themselves to say, I'm responsible for me. Okay, and unfortunately today, even though I think the world has gone soft in a lot of ways, there's a tolerance there for less than enough. There's a tolerance there for settling. People are resilient in their ability to suffer. Okay, people are more resilient in their ability to have anxiety, to be depressed, to feel sad, to be overweight, to be unhealthy, to be in a bad relationship, to be in a job they don't like, to stay in a place they don't want to live. They're so comfortable in their discomfort. Okay, they're so comfortable in their discomfort and then they blame. And there's another episode coming out shortly all about blame. That it's not them, it's you. You're the problem. Okay, so it's very important that you get clear on that first. You get the awareness and you get ready to make a decision. Remember, the decision comes from the Latin word incision, which is to cut. So to me, my interpretation is that a decision is when you cut away other possibilities, when you cut away the excuses, when you cut away other options and you say, I'm going to burn the boats. To take over the island, we have to burn the boats. So when you do that and you're ready to do the work and you're ready to let go of everything, and you free yourself of all the things that aren't you, or you begin to walk that path, now you can start to truly see what is for you. Because that was a long-winded section there where I'm talking about all the things that are in the way of you becoming who you're meant to be. So when you can start to let go of some of that stuff and be aware, now you use your imagination and you use your heart to find, okay, what is that truth for me? What does that alignment look like? What is that fully powered, health, vitality, energized life, joyful life that's for me? What does that look like? And when we have that, now we start to use the law of assumption. Coming back to what this episode is about. Once we start to free ourselves of the illusion, once we start to free ourselves of the limiting beliefs, a big problem for people is limiting beliefs because of their self-image. Okay, they don't believe they're worthy enough. They have ideas of what they think they want, but they don't believe they're worthy of what's truly in their heart. They don't believe it. Okay, so you have to, again, that's why coaching is so important. It's hard how are you supposed to figure all this out by yourself? You don't know if you don't know where to look, if you haven't walked the path, how do you know where to go, where to look? That's what having a coach like me does. Because I know exactly where to look. I can tell within 10 seconds, even before you speak, by looking at you, where your problem is. Because I've just been doing it so long. I've worked with thousands of people all over the world, 5 continents. I've just been doing it for so long. You start to see patterns. You start to see patterns in people. And no matter where you're from in the world, I can promise you we're all the same. We all suffer the same. We all suffer the same. We have the same fears, the same doubts, the same insecurities. We're worried about the same things. We want a lot of the same things or just different versions of the same thing. So I've seen it all, guys. And I'm telling you, this is, why it's hard to go alone, because there's so much to navigate in your mind. There's so much chaos in your mind. And the world today has created way more chaos than ever before. There's way more knowledge, way more information, yes, but how do you filter through the noise? How do you know what to look for? There's so many people giving different opinions and different aspects, but the one thing is what I want to talk about and what I feel I always talk from is truth, because truth is truth. There's nowhere else to go. There's no interpretation of truth. It's either true or it's not. And I'm a big believer in absolute truth. For you to live your best life, for you to have your best relationship requires absolute truth. For you to have a successful business with your clients, with your customers, you have to have truth. When you have truth, everything else is taken care of. Like, truth is the language of love. Truth is the language of God. Like, truth is everything. And unfortunately, most of you guys, I would say, and including myself very often, remember, everything I talk about here is from my experience, and I say I'm in it with you. There's no arriving. Back to me is a journey. Truth, the only thing that matters first is truth, because it's the illusion that's causing the pain. You're lying to yourselves, because most of you you're believing illusions. You're caught up in illusions, not truth. And you're lying to yourself about who you really are. You're lying to yourself about what it's going to take. You're lying to yourself about what you're capable of. You're lying to yourself about whose fault it is, because no one's fault. Now, for sure, other people do things out of our control. But again, when you get to higher levels of awareness, you have no attachment to that. You create separation between you and that. You realize that what others do is not because of you, it's their stuff. But what you do is not because of others, it's because of your stuff. Okay? So you have to get clarity in your heart. You have to find truth in yourself. so you can truly feel what's meant for you. Okay. And then when you do that, you start to use this law of assumption, which I've been using. And it's funny because I found some notes yesterday from years and years ago. Literally from years ago, I found notes and how I was speaking like it's already done. It's already done. It's already done. I remember even in 2009 working on the cruise ships, and I have books. I have books at home, like how I wrote my life, who I am, the life I have, the girlfriend I have, everything. Everything was written and it's already done. I am, not I want or I wish. You have to assume it's already yours. That's the first step. You have to assume it's already yours. The law of assumption means it's already yours. What would your life be like if you were the version of you that you see in your imagination and you feel in your heart? What would your life be like if you had the job or the business that you imagined for yourself? If you had the relationship you imagined, what would it be like? What would the people in your life, how would they look at you? What would they say about you? What would the conversations be if you were that version of you? You have to see that in your imagination. You have to see those people having those conversations. Okay, that's this part of assumption as key is the visualization. I've done another episode on visualization. Go back, you will find it. Most people think I just have to look and see it in my mind's eye. That's not enough. The key to visualization is to feel it, to engage all of your senses. That means touch it, taste it, smell it, hear it. Okay, so when you're using the law of assumption, what does your whole life look 360? What does it look like in all aspects? How do people treat you differently? What does your day look like? Okay, you have to imagine that. And that comes back to relationships. So a lot of people ask, even since the dating and relationships, like how do you, and coaching clients ask me this all the time, how do you find the right person for you? What should you do to attract the right person? Well, the first thing is you have to know, what does the right person look like? And I'm not just physically, I'm talking about all aspects of them. What do they look like? How do they talk? What's their spirit like? What's their heart like? What kind of mindset do they have? What's their approach to life? What are their beliefs? You have to know who your dream person looks like. Now, physically as well, yes. For me, it was always very clear. That's why it's funny now. All my friends speak about, oh, you told us you were going to have a girl like that. And I say, yeah, exactly. I told you for years because it was already done. That's the law of assumption. You assume the situation until you receive it. Now, the only time the tracks can kind of cross over is when you get caught in some illusion where you think you want something. When you think this is what I want, but it's not what you want. It's what your ego wants. It's what your fear thinks you need. And if you listen to this podcast for a while, you know that need is an illusion. So again, if you have a pen and paper right now, you should write the word need down and put a big X through it because you don't need anything. Because every time you say, I need something, you're saying, I'm not enough. I need to start getting up early. I need to make more money. I need to get out more. I need to do this. You're saying, I'm not enough. And then when you believe you're not enough, you're always looking for things to patch you up and to fill you up, like chocolate or alcohol or drugs or bitching and moaning and complaining. And we all do this, myself included. All do it. But the key is to have awareness so we can get out of it quickly. One of the things I'm most proud of about myself is how I get out of things quickly now. Whether it's I fall into something, a reaction, before it would have taken me much longer to get out of that. If I have frustrated at something, if I get frustrated or disappointed, maybe a couple of years ago, it would have taken much longer. And some of you guys feel like that. Maybe you don't get the client or there's a problem at work or a coworker says something or something in your friends group, there's a comment made and maybe it's taken you weeks or months or maybe you never get over it. So as you begin to heal yourself, you begin to learn about yourself and you get to discover who you are. And that's the key, guys, is that self-discovery. Like, there's a famous saying from Jim Rohn that formal education makes you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. And I love that for years. And then I kind of created my own version of that where I realized self-exploration is the key to the key to your freedom, your mental and emotional freedom, and your time and financial freedom. All your ultimate freedom, as I call it, is self-exploration. You have to be an explorer. You have to discover, who am I really? Who am I becoming? What do I want? And I have coaching clients and they struggle sometimes to create that vision because their identity is based on so many limiting beliefs, based on so many stories. Okay, so again, you have to get the awareness, you have to get the truth. And once you know in your heart what's really for you, once you understand to keep everything separate, what's the mind and what's the heart, what's real and what's the illusion, and that comes with time, which will bring me to the next point of law of assumption in a second. Once you can do that, you visualize that, you act from that, you see it, you touch it, taste it, smell it. Remember, engage all of your senses with your visualization. And the next part, as I just mentioned, then is repetition. You have to do it frequently. Repetition is key. The brain learns through repetition. It learns through visualization and repetition. It gets insights. Okay, the brain receives insights, but the brain focuses on what's primary. So again, if you're surrounded by distraction, if you're not clear on what's important to you, who's important to you, what you want from life, if that's not clear, your brain's not going to look for it. And again, coming back to the world today, our instincts are to open Instagram, open YouTube, open TikTok, open Facebook, turn on Netflix. Our instinct is never to sit and just breathe and be in silence. People are less and less capable of sitting in silence now. That's why if you're in a restaurant and you see a table and someone goes to the toilet, what's the person do? They take out their phone. Someone's in a line waiting, what do? They take out their phone. Because we've conditioned ourselves, and this is something I've been very conscious over the last couple of years, is at a restaurant at a table to not do it. Now, sometimes you have something to do, fine, but you know that you're just taking it out of habit, that you're taking it out of reflex. So if your instinct again is to go outside of yourself, to your phone, to Netflix, to whatever, how are you supposed to receive the insights? See, most people are lacking focus, they're lacking clarity because they're not even looking for clarity, they're not even asking for it. They're just in distraction mode, always looking at the phone, always on the laptop, always on the TV, always talking to their friends. Okay, yeah, you have your friends, you love your friends, but have some silence. You need some silence in your life. It's the only thing you probably need, silence actually, because when you have silence, you can receive, because your whole body is an antenna to receive. You receive insights. Your brain learns through insights. But if you're constantly distracted and your instinct is to go outside of yourself to a device or to a habit or to anything that's outside of you and your heart, you're always setting yourself up for failure. You're always going to lose. Okay? So part of the repetition with the law of assumption is to create a new program. The repetition helps you rewire your brain. You can literally change your brain by what you focus on. Okay, you can literally change your brain by what you focus on. So what's primary? And again, that's why you should be spending time creating your vision for your life. You have to spend time imagining, visualizing. People say don't daydream. You should be daydreaming, but with a pen and paper, writing out exactly who you are and what you want. You should surround yourself with your dream, with your vision, whether it's your dream person, dream job, dream career, dream body, whatever it is. And you visualize it, you touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it. You assume it's already yours. You imagine people talking, treating you like it's already yours. And then you have repetition. You do that over and over and over again. So your brain starts to say, this is part of who we are. And then your brain is an incredible processor, an incredible gift we have from God, our mind, the most powerful computer in the universe, right? Our minds. And we can actually use that then to seek out things that will get us there. Your mind will seek out what's important to you, what's primary. Okay? So you have to have the assumption, you have to speak, think, feel everything's already done. You have to visualize it, you have to imagine it, you have to engage all your senses. You have to have repetition. Okay, you have to have repetition. You have to do it over and over again, especially before you go to bed at night and when you wake up in the morning, because your brain waves are literally slower. But just before you fall asleep, you should be imagining the best things in your life, that you have them, that are already yours. First thing in the morning when you wake up and you say, thank you for being alive, thank you for breathing, thank for everything you have that's already yours. The law of assumption is an absolute game changer. Okay, you have to assume everything is, and it's not about just fake it till you make it. It's not that. Okay, it's thinking from the awake version of you, because you often heard me say there's no future really, there's no past. There's the awake you and the asleep you. And you're asleep in some areas, and it's time to wake up. And that's why you're listening to this podcast, because it's time to wake up. That's what Back to Me is about. Getting back to the truth in you. And the truth in you is God's presence in you. Getting back to the God in you. We are co-creators on this world. You are not alone. Everything on this world that's not blue or the ocean or the mountains was created twice. First in your mind and then in reality. Okay, so you have to spend time on this, realizing that you are a co-creator in this world. Okay, you are a co-creator. So you apply yourself, you use your imagination, your heart, the gifts that God gave you. And then, as you've heard in other episodes, you have to surrender. You have to let go then, which is ironic. When you let go of the power is when you're the most powerful. You have to let go and trust. So that's a little bit on the law of assumption. Again, the meat of this episode, guys, was really about what stops you from getting there as well. Because again, I can't just talk about the law of assumption without getting into the things that are stopping, because I know what's stopping you, because I see it every day with my clients. I see it every day, all of the time. I see it. And this is, if you can start to understand this and you can start to work on this, you can start to unlock all the doors that are there in front of you. You can start to knock down all the walls that you think are there, because everything, all the blocks that are in front of you are of your making. They're of your making. It's your mind's in the way, your fear, your doubt, your insecurity. That's all the mind. And it's because you don't know yourself. Because if you truly knew who you are and what you're capable of, you'd have total peace in your heart. If you knew how perfect you were as you are, if you knew how full you are, if you knew the kind of gifts you had. The problem is no one ever showed you how to access them. And that's what we're doing here on Back to Me, is helping you let go of everything that's stopping you from seeing that, so you can realize you're already there. Again, law of assumption, you're already there. It's already done. You are already enough. You are exactly who you're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be. This time right now in your life is perfect. Everything, even the struggles, even the pain, is communication for you to get to you to get you to where you're supposed to be. Okay, which is back to you, back to your highest self, back to God's presence in you, back to your highest vibration and energy, back to your truth. Because then you need nothing, and then you are absolutely free. You can, and life is joyous then. And the most, it kind of seems contradictory, but when you let go of all that and you realize how free you are, now you're choosing. You're choosing a partner because you want to share. Life is better shared. You're choosing this business. You're choosing this job. You're choosing these friendships because you know they're for your highest good and greatest joy. You don't need them. You don't need anything. You're choosing freely, and you're also receiving more. So you're being guided. You're being absolutely guided to your highest self. You are not alone. You trust your heart every day. You trust your organs. You trust your glands. You trust everything to work, your hormones to work. You trust all your joints, your muscles, everything. You have to trust God. You have to trust the universe. You have to trust a higher power than yourself. You have to have faith. Okay, but it starts with you. You are a co-creator. You are a partnership in this. You and your creator are the partners here. So you have to assume that everything is already done. You are enough. You are ready. Let this be your message today. Let this be your starting point. Okay, start today. Again, if you want to reach out to me, my contact details are in the chat. You can book a call. Back to Me group coaching is an incredible program. We go deep into this. It's specific to you. We give you the coaching and the training, the mentoring and the training, and also the coaching. So if you're interested in knowing about that, book a consultation call. If you haven't checked out other episodes yet, there's a whole library of episodes here. There's more and more coming all the time. Make sure you check them out. If you like this episode, guys, if you got value, please leave a rating. It helps more people see it. And again, if you have friends you think any of this resonated with, that you have a positive group of people, you have a like-minded group of people, please share this episode with them. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment below. Let me know what resonated with you. I love hearing from you guys. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram as well. A lot of people send me their reaction to the podcast, and it makes my day. Like, that's the reason I'm back here today, is because a lot of people are writing to me saying, hey, we want more episodes. I'm listening to them over and over again. I love them. So that's why I'm here. That's what feeds me and makes me want to share this message more and more. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. I want to see you assuming the law. Let me know if you're going to use this, if you have been using this, if you're using the law of assumption now to reveal and to remember who you truly are, not to become, because you don't really need to become more. You are enough already. And I'm excited to see how this works for you. So I will see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. If you'd like to find out more about working with me, you can visit theaidanobrien.com. That's THEAidanobrien.com. You can find out more about what I do, my coaching, my mentoring, or if you want me to deliver a training or a keynote, for your company or organization, you can do everything through theaidanobrien.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Aidan O'Brien Official. I love hearing from you. Like to know if you're enjoying the podcast, or maybe there's some topics you'd like to hear more of. You can find me on Instagram. Also, I have a YouTube channel under Aidan O'Brien, and also the Back to Me podcast has its own YouTube channel. So make sure you share this with a friend if you like what you heard. Again, love to hear from you, and I will see you soon.